Hello everyone, welcome to a new video update. Let me start by asking if the bear is in the room with us, because all they had left was pretty much the war, but as we have seen, oil wasn't hinting that this conflict would be something really important, and all that BTC has done is just a retest of the 100 daily EMA, something we mentioned in the last video and we've been tracking. And ask yourself, if all the bearish news, all that they got was just a normal correction, I mean, considering those kind of narratives are the ones moving the market, which I still think they aren't. It's just the narrative built to justify price action and to trigger some like overshooting to both to the upside and the downside. This is just a normal correction at all-time high, the first one we have since the bottom. So we even have the some Fed members talking about a potential cut in July, and considering how big the oil drop has been, it could really help to avoid any meaningful spike in inflation, and we might enter for a few months in some kind of even like perfect Goldilocks, right? The economy is still holding, inflation controlled, no fear of war, new deals surely coming in the coming weeks, for all the tariff stuff. So you might think the narrative might shape to, okay, the economy can grow because the tariffs are negotiated, there is no war, inflation is under control, we can cut a little bit, so that allows small companies, Russell 2000, small companies to grow, to have easier access to money. We saw, I reposted yesterday some Besson's tweet, the typical photograph, the picture you take with small companies bragging about all you've done for them, blah blah blah. I think that's a hint, a teaser of what's to come, which aligns with the stage we are in the cycle. BTC dominance looking very like in its very own end move, the final move. But again, that could take weeks or even some months. That's something we've discussed here because we analyze high time frame. So in between, you can have many low time frame moves, fear here, fear there. The same thing will happen at the top, right? So don't think that this is just an easy mode from now on. In fact, I still believe the worst is just to come, emotionally speaking. You might feel that it doesn't make any sense, but you will realize if this is your first cycle how difficult it will be to take profit, to identify weakness, and not to believe that there's so much room to go, especially after this whole wall of worry cycle that has been really, really long for many people. Emotionally, they think, I mean, we have just started. How is it gonna end so soon? And they will take a look back at 2021, but not for the same reason they are doing now. They are comparing the last cycle as a double top, but in a few months, they will compare it for the old season. They will start saying for sure that the last old season, lasted from January to May, like 4 or 5 months. So we have all that time or even more to enjoy the old season. They will stop making you think about long term to trap you, right? I said that's why it's dangerous to try to think about any fixed date or period of time. So because you start thinking that's gonna be that's gonna happen for sure. So you start relaxing, you stop looking for potential exit signals, and you just ride the trend. And for some time it would be great paper gains, but you have to materialize them. And at the beginning, I'm sure when you hit the sell button, the market might probably keep pushing, right? And that's the worst part, the trickiest one, because you will think, what have I done? Have I exited too early? The market's still going up. What if this is, I don't know, a new super cycle? What if all the correction that are gonna come next are shallow? I could handle that. I mean, I could stay in the market just for a 10, 20% correction. I can handle that. That's just speculation, and you're biased to stay in the market. And then when the correction comes and you are underwater, you once again ask yourself, what do? I have round trip it all. Do I sell now? And that's how you backhold into a bear market. I've been there. It's painful as fuck. So I would rather leave money on the table. So enough rambling. I wanted to start by showing the Wyckoff pattern that I posted yesterday. It's something I was tracking here when we started chopping. Back here, I still didn't see any clear type of Wyckoff, right? You know, this could be distribution at the top or reaccumulation. It's very hard to tell. But all the indicators or the aspects we analyze here didn't really point into the distribution, at least cycle distribution, right? And it looks like, this is the 4-hour chart, remember that, it looks like a reaccumulation. And we have the phase D, the spring, and now pretty much this could be, this small move here could be the test, and we are spiking back up. We will see if it is or not. We might chop, perhaps getting rejected. 109.5, retest 106, break all-time high, and now finally make all-time high support and launch. I'm gonna track this. I'm gonna keep tracking this. I think it's very, very interesting. From the let me hide this for a second. If we go to the daily, we can see, I'm gonna switch to candles back again, and we saw the perfect tap of the 100, even like another attempt here. We clearly reclaimed the 50 in this huge candle, and now we are bouncing off the 20. How about that? The first real retest. This is what bears said, lower highs, lower lows, and I said this is a bull flag, but you wouldn't believe it. I hope you remember that. And it's a bull flag that, which, like the bottom area, is a perfect retest. And at the same time, this retest is this upper range we've seen so far, we've seen before, 98, 99, something like that. And we said that we had something like that in previous cycle, previous impulse into all-time high. We didn't even go that low, but you have to remember that the difference here is we got here without any kind of overextension, because we had that meaningful correction before, followed by another one, very close one. I mean, choppy, right? In just a short time, we didn't have any meaningful correction. In fact, you can see how far, how detached from all this average we were. So this is not unexpected, and it happening around all-time high is something normal. And let me tell you something, if the market likes to trap people, what a better trap. For all those super experienced gurus out there, what a better trap that making them think that this is just a deviation to trap people. Remember how this was a deviation compared to previous all-time high? And a trap? What happened next? Is this the same? I mean, people never learn. People never learn. Why? Because you could think, okay, but they just analyze data and at least think, they should think that, okay, we've seen that before. Let's wait and see. No, because it's ego, right? That's the worst and the most difficult part in trading, controlling your emotions, whether it's fear, ego, greed, whatever. You're going to be tested. You have been tested until here, right? We spotted the divergence here, the cycle bottom, right? And all we had to do, when you just switch to lines, you see this and you see, okay, what's wrong about this? This is a clear uptrend. All you had to do was wait. People worried here, 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 here. So much worry, useless worry, right? Until things break, just let it all play. I know why the anxiety and all the fear because we are invested in altcoins. I know. But when they start outperforming, you will instantly forget about that. So everything good. And let me show you how beautiful this is. How many times have we said that a retest of the EMA, even though it's not necessary, wouldn't be bad? It was even like a retest of the 20. I mean, just take a look at this. Perfect rejection. We hold the 50, we get rejected. We hold the 50 again, making a double bottom. And this is pretty much the first retest of the 20. Is that crazy? That's logical. The thing is, we are so zoomed in, paying attention to the low time frames so much, to every post daily, because we are addicted to the dopamine here, right? Like scrolling and seeing, we see something, right? We need something every day, every few hours. We need something, but the market doesn't work like that. So if I am someone who plays the high time frame and I see all this has been so far an easy cycle. Yes, you say this is BTC, but again, the market doesn't care if we allocate into altcoins early. It doesn't really care. That's our bet. If you want to be early, you have to go through all that early pain, right? But the thing is, it's been a beautiful, perfect textbook retest, pretty much into the 20. And as I posted, you have to see this as a stop and you know, like a new higher point to attack the all-time high again. I explained how different BTC was here when it got to this area. Exhausted, tried again already below, and it couldn't hold this upper range, right? And now this upper range has acted as support, and we are just in the new weekly cycle. So much fuel left. You can see the difference, right? Structure, oscillators, open interest nowhere to be seen, nowhere, because there's so much fear. There was the uncertainty of war. All longs got flashed here last week, and that was insane to see. And now people change. I mean, they will say, okay, we haven't even broken all-time high yet. When you don't have confidence, when you open Twitter or you make a sentiment check, and people don't believe this is it, boys, all-time high is just a matter of time, and you still see many people say, okay, relax, we haven't even broken all-time high. That kind of cautious fear and doubt, that's great. That's great fuel, because we need people. Again, if everyone were smart enough to position themselves perfectly, who would push price? Because everybody would be allocated at the perfect bottom. Who would buy next? Because this is a zero-sum game, so you have to dump on someone who believes the price will keep going higher and it's not risky to buy higher, right? So you have to make bears capitulate, come to the bullseye. Everyone gets confident, and then that's when you dump, right? So this so far is a beautiful bull flag. Enormous bull flag here as well, cycle-wise. It depends on the time frame, right? You can be very in the, let's say, hourly chart and be super bullish here on the high time frame. All good. Let's take a look at total 3. And boy, this one was also okay. This one was also fun to watch. Let me open the daily. Sorry, the weekly first, because I want to show you the EMAs, right? And what do we have? 1 hour deviation below the 50. And remember when I said, haven't we seen that? How bad it looked here, right? Potentially making lower lows, getting rejected at previous resistance. Isn't this pretty much the same? It seems it's making lower low here, because I said if you get stuck in this, you might see or think the structure is going down. If you get stuck just in here, you might think that, but you have to go. This is the high time frame, so go to the high time frame bottom. And all I see is a reclaim, rejection, at an expected level and retest to say, okay, this is not a fake move, a dead cat bounce. This is a new leg. We have this fake out, faking everybody, making them believe that we are down at least perhaps to the next Fibonacci. And that's how you trap people. Remember, it's on Twitter, you have the feeling that only bulls are greedy. That's the general idea, right? What they make you think, that bear people are realistic. That's bullshit. They're greedy as well. Because when you remember when we got to 50 something here in summer, we're gonna see 30 next. In this correction, it was gonna be 60, 50 something next. It's always lower. At the bottom, 2015, it was 12 and 10K next. Greed works both ways. So that's why many people get scared, because when you see someone bearish, they think, I mean, no one wants to be bearish, right? So if he's bearish, he must know something. Now, it must mean that person is sidelined or short in the market. So I start my bearish propaganda because that's what I want, right? Because I want the price to go down so I can enter, because I missed the ride, or because I'm short in the wrong time. So perfectly fine. We can be reclaiming this the EMA this week. So far, so good. And remember what I said. Weekly, I mean cycle-wise, we are way better than we were here. I mean, let's say this is the retest. Let's say we are here in September, October. I've shown this many times, but again, since I have new followers, you're all welcome. But I'm gonna show you what we've been tracking. When we were here, we were still like a 300% away from all-time high. And now, when the market is so fearful and everyone's so afraid of everything, we're just 32% away from all-time high, with BTC dominance not fully rolling. It's up to you. It's up to you to think and see what are we doing here. And again, the same way we spotted the potential, let's call it, as I call it, the bull market RSI, like support area. That's something we've respected and we keep respecting, right? Let's take a look at others. And I mentioned that why not, losing this one, we could tap the lower bottom, the next area. And remember when I said, and they will tell you, did you buy the upper bottom? Always in hindsight, never before, right? Here is doom and gloom. And after this candle is, did you buy the bottom, Manon? Did you buy the dip? It was a possibility. As long as we didn't make a new low, it was all good. Here, it was around the 100. But it's the same structure. Still going up, still holding, still in this upper range, this area that people might be, you know, the classic, oh, I wish I had bought at the bear market bottom, right? Like here. They never did. But then they say, okay, I wish I had bought here before that. Yes, because you know now what happened next. But here you were fearful. People were fearful. I think the same thing is going to happen now. People are fucking scared here. In a few months, the new people coming into the market, if they open a chart, they might say, man, look how much time they had to accumulate. That was insane. It's all about perspective. And what I see is a big range, and this being the golden area. When you tap the weekly MAs, is a good moment to buy. And remember, every top comes when we detach from those MAs for some time, right? Here it was a little bit more sustainable because there were constant retests. What that made people go insane here. Remember, this is late December, the area where we saw all the bearish tweets for altcoins. People don't chart. Remember that. That's why you shouldn't follow sentiment on X. They don't chart. They buy a fucking shitcoin. Perhaps they have like 100, 200 bucks on them. I'm not saying that's not money, but again, you can't be so loud when you just throw pocket money to the market. right? But we don't know, right? So they can post any kind of opinion, post about levels, about longs, and perhaps they are betting $50. What are we talking about, right? So open a chart, forget about the noise. That's it. Even if ignore what I say, if you want, that's okay. I'm just trying to show as much data as possible, right? So you decide. Remember, when the big push come, I'm not gonna give you any exit target. And I know many people might be thinking, okay, I'll just follow him until he says it's time to exit because I have a different entry, different risk appetite, different situation. So I might leave early, or early for you, or just stay a little bit longer because my risk appetite is higher, or because I'm betting on more upside. But I will just share what I think. Again, breaking the MA here with this fake out that was just a retest. Do you see now why oscillators are great, but just as a conference point? Do you see now why structure, horizontal, and then MAs are more important? Because there is a trend. Until the trend breaks, the trend is your friend. That was the last video, right? Let's take a look at Ethereum, because Ethereum has been textbook so far. We talk about how all these could lead to an explosive move, but there was hesitation as well. And I believe this is the capitulation, the kind of trap move like we saw here on a different scale, of course. It was a perfect retest of demand. When you see this kind of long wicks, you should take note. Not just say, okay, we bounced. No, take note, because this is a demand area, a very big one. You can see the big bounces from this area. This is a big trap. This is a golden entry, by the way, the lowest demand area. It's not a coincidence that algos push it back to this level. And here, I said, if you lose the MA to something like this orange MA, the last one, the 200, the next high time frame support is this. If we lose it, yes, we risk to go way down. But it didn't fit until we lose it. We just pay attention to this. Perfect bounce, reclaiming 2 MAs in a row with this candle, and we want to reclaim these two and make them support, which is around 2.5, 2.6. And then the next time we attack 2.8 might be different. Why? Because here we did it from a very extended move. Yes, we hesitated here, but now we have pretty much like a retest on the weekly. So breakout, retest, higher low, and now we need a higher high, which is breaking 2.8. And that, reclaiming this as support, opens the door to 4K. And let me tell you something else. If we want altcoins to run, and we say, it's normally said that Ethereum has to run, that it has to be in price discovery. BTC is going to enter price discovery soon. It should. This is aligning with the next weeks, months for it to happen, right? Altcoins are even closer, if I'm not wrong, than Ethereum. Yeah. So by the time Ethereum breaks, altcoins could already be in price discovery. And then you have the recipe, BTC dominance showing some weakness that I'm gonna show you now. We have the recipe for everything to run, because BTC would be in price discovery by then. Everything would be in price discovery, right? With a potential cut. And remember, it's not black and white. The context matters. And this is the first time we have seen such an insane inflation run because of the COVID. And now many people were calling for the Fed to cut for a whole year, and now they expect it. They say that if they cut, it's going to be bearish because it's been before. Yes, I understand that, but thinking the same thing has to happen is completely ignoring the context. The same way people called for a double top for BTC now just because it happened and the structure looks similar, apparently, to the last cycle. They ignore everything else. They cherry pick that and they say it's the same. It's the double top. Sometimes they say that the market may rhyme, but it's never the same. That the market doesn't give you the same playbook twice. But at the same time, they say cutting is bearish because it's always been. Don't ignore the context. Be open-minded, because it would be a shame that after all this cycle we are left behind because we sell before a cut because we think it's going to be bearish. And it might be short term, but you've seen how strong the market has reacted to tariff fear, to war, hasn't even flinched. Do you really think a cut is gonna, without bad economic data, by the way, right? Do you think cutting in that situation would be bad for the market? I don't think so. In fact, it could trigger the kind of complacency, let's say safe kind of period, because people think everything is finally back when it's just the final move. Perhaps into kicking in inflation again, an economy going down this because the cutting started way too late, but that doesn't show until later. Or perhaps we finally enter in a very, very explosive move, the cycle with rates going down, and this has been a tremendous climb with a very tight fiscal conditions, right? Be open-minded. Be open-minded, because every take I see on Twitter has always some bearish component. Cutting is bad. The cycle is going to end soon. Low targets, because they think it's more realistic. I mean, they are sharing now lower targets than in the last cycle. Please think about that. When we were around 60, 50K last cycle, 100K was FUD. Now at 100K, people are talking about 150 at most. That's it. I'm just going to say that. I have my both targets for Fibonacci-wise. That's all I'm caring about. 1, 2, 3, 6, I think it is. Around 135K, and the overshoot to the Fibonacci like 1.6, the golden ratio, at around 900. I think it's 194, sorry. Something like that. That's the only two kind of guide targets that I have. But I said I might not be bullish enough, especially for altcoins, because I see how close they are to all-time high compared to last cycle. And if something like last cycle happens with with BTC dominance dropping, being so close to price discovery, I might not be bullish enough. I will let time show its hand and see what happens. Let's take a look at USDT dominance. Our dear friend, not dear, but you know, look at this fake out for now. We said that it doesn't have to be a reversal as long as we make lower highs. We got a perfect rejection of this MA, the last one I wanted to see tapped. I posted on a reply to one of you, I don't remember who now, that the ultimate area I don't want to see reclaimed is this one, because that would be leaving the range. But for now, what I see is still a downtrend, but we have to confirm that by breaking finally 450 and 437 especially, because it's been acting as demand area, right? So we are losing one rejected here and losing 2, 3, all the EMAs, by the way, with this kind of move. Very big rejection here, the weekly, perfect trap, this little fake out. But we have to confirm that breaking this. Again, my lowest target for this weekly cycle is 377. And considering, I've said this many times, considering the market cap keeps increasing and increasing. Look at this drop and chop. It's been increasing, right? From 144 to like 12 billion market cap increase. And I posted, you shouldn't be afraid as long as the market cap keeps increasing. The last time it dropped was in mid December, when no one was afraid. It was dropping when USDT found its bottom with the bullish levels on the daily. The high time frame level. Please remember that, right? So every percentage drop is not gonna be, doesn't have to be to this level. It could be way higher because there's more money. So remember, every drop is more meaningful in terms of money. It moves way more money. But so far so good. Lower highs, and we need the lower low confirmation. Something insane would be running way more than people expect now, make them feel super comfortable here to retrace, perhaps with some wicks here, make this resistance and run into the final move of the cycle. That would be huge and very easy to navigate. Very easy. You understand what I mean? By making this, by losing this level. Because if we retest and hold this level again for the third time, I'm not really sure how much higher we could go. Yes, we could make this resistance instead of again another trying to make this support and then finally lose it. That's another path, and that is more likely now. But perhaps me saying more likely just depends on what we have seen now, the recency bias. Right? We haven't seen strength recently, so perhaps that's why my brain says this is too much. This is more reasonable, but I have no data to support that. So anyway, this has to be tested, in my opinion. This has to break for sure. Any kind of support action here again with potential reversal and exhaustion by BTC would be worrisome, because this could indeed be a reversal then. So losing this is great, and we need that. And I think it would likely, when we get here, if we get here, total 3 and others will be clearly in price discovery, in my opinion. So let's see. BTC dominance. Oh boy. I posted yesterday, what if we're seeing I said several times that whenever there's hesitation, doubt, and worry, BTC dominance pushes. It's done it before, perhaps for a weekend, but it's done before. All this has been with the choppy period, right? And when we have some kind of clarity, it comes down. This is I said in the last video that the area I would pay attention to a potential divergence, and it seems to be playing out already, right? Remember the last time we have some overshoot with divergence forming was Q4, before Q4, with this push here, capitulation for altcoins. That's something I explained in the last video as well. This capitulation for altcoins. I'm going to change the color because it's a little bit annoying. So capitulation, right, with this kind of capitulation for altcoins. And then we start moving up. For now, we're trying to move again, right? Let's say we are here in this first leg. Let's see if this is a complete rollover or not, right? We have the next support here, 64.88. We have the moving averages that they've been holding. If for some reason we lose 64.40 and we go back, which is pretty much the Fibonacci, it's been holding so far since the drop in early May, right? It would be a good sign if we lose this. So the daily is about to cross. If BTC is about to push, I see two paths. I think the most likely one could be BTC dominance pushing a little bit more together with BTC, perhaps repeating this pattern into its local top, right? Or it just BTC dominance keeps chopping, right? Not making high highs. By the way, I chose this 66 area because it was, I'm going to show in the weekly, way better. It was the last resistance level before the 70 something. And so far so good, apparently. I don't know if we tapped it. Sorry, I don't know if we tapped it, but I think it's being very close. Yeah. So the other possibility is BTC dominance chopping. So altcoins outperforming BTC while everything climbs. That's another possibility. We saw that. I'm gonna go to the weekly now. We saw that here in the push from October to March. Choppy action from BTC dominance, but pushing up while the open market exploded. So it's a possibility. You don't always need, I mean, it's way more vertical if BTC dominance drops. That's why we have all seasons, right? You have this non-stop drop and we have this non-stop push with prices that, what the hell is going on? No one knows why. This is it. And they will start building the narrative. So Web3, the future, blah, 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 blah. But we all know what's going on. And not only on the daily we have divergence. I know the week is very early, right? But we are going to measure it from this to the last week, right? To the close, which is the only valid data point. So far, this is a divergence. You could argue, yes, we have the same here. Well, you could say this is more like a toppy RSI area. It's pretty much flat. And even then we have a small drop here in May, but we have a fake out here in the MA. We need to break decisively, not just chop. Decisively, perhaps a bearish retest like we did in Q4. This is what we need if we want to see altcoins run. Seriously, but remember, we can also have choppy periods, staying below, fighting to regain the MA, while printing various divergences that play every once in a while. This allows for altcoins to run as well. This is weakness, right? Until it's reclaimed here, and was this summer, but the top was already in for altcoins, right? We can see here the top was already in when it seems like it started regaining the MA again. So in both the scenarios, altcoin can run. That's why for now I pay attention to the altcoins chart to see if their structure is strong enough to push. BTC dominance dropping helps a lot. And remember, BTC dominance going up or staying up doesn't always mean altcoins have to drop, because it could mean new money coming from ETFs, for example, pouring into BTC. So even though everything is pushing, BTC is pushing even more. So that's why its dominance is higher. Period. And we don't have to make it any more complicated than it is. And one last altcoin chart that I want to chart is Ethereum BTC. I said there was much work to do, that the bottom is in my opinion, and I still maintain that. And we see the initial rejection at the 20, like in the last cycle. Perfect. And it was obvious after all this downtrend. Of course, the first resistance level is going to act as resistance. Again, slicing through would be suspicious to me, because that would be unsustainable. Perhaps we slice through here, people get super mega excited. We come back, and since there is no support on the way up, we lose this MA and we go straight back down. Tremendous. That would be terrible for people. And since now we've been chopping here, right? The moment we reclaim, we might make this support because it's been a tested area, right? So we might go make something like this. Perhaps this next weekly cycle impulse is something like this. We tap the 50, we hold the 20, and we start our reclaim to eventually have them all reclaim if last cycle is any kind of reliable measure. We can have this and the final impulse. But remember, just crushing them and reclaim, this is already a big move, right? This was a correction here, right, for the Ethereum BTC, but total 3 was already climbing so fast because BTC dominance, if I can show it here, let me just compare it for a second, because BTC dominance was also just dropping when Ethereum reclaimed finally the MAs, right? You can see this initial drop here, really Ethereum climbing, but Total 3 back then was dead. Something that's not happening now. There's way more appetite for altcoins this cycle. Bear that in mind. There's more appetite. That's what chart shows, right? Don't forget about that. So ETHBTC still have work to do, but it's going well. Let me just show you before leaving, by the way, because I haven't checked the daily. I want to see the daily. Daily must be far from. Okay, the daily shows a different picture. You can see it tried to stay above the moving averages. They lost it, yeah, but it's establishing a new bottom. So yeah, there's still work to do. That's why I believe the pure alt season won't happen next. That's what I believe. Happy to be wrong. Oil. This is something I wanted to show you because I mentioned in the last video. Okay, I'm gonna show the let's hide this. So first I'm gonna show the weekly, right? And I said this is a downtrend, and I'm gonna remove the EMAs for now. I don't need them. And this was a bearish divergence building last week, right? And overshoot a little bit, and now we are going down fast. So that's when I said, are we really sure that oil is pushing because of war? And it's still, right, you can measure it from here, still in a downtrend. That downtrend has been rejecting. You can draw pretty much here. It's been rejecting, right? And this bearish divergence is a hidden one, so it means continuation, right? And if we go to the daily, I showed that, just take a quick look. RSI wise, I said that this is the area where previously all the daily had some drops here, 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 and here. And that this could be a potential daily divergence here, right? This kind of candles together with oscillators going down, two rejections at the same area, with the bearish divergence on the weekly, and this could be all this. That's why I said the oil was telling the story, right? We might see some bounce now because it's been one of the biggest drops in history for oil in one day, 15 in 2 days for now, a day and a half. That's insane, right? I don't know the last one, how, yeah, pretty much like this. So people said that the oils, I read a tweet yesterday, one of these reply guys saying that oil was pushing because of war and the worst was yet to come, blah, blah. I was sure, because when I opened this chart, the first thing I saw was a very oversold levels here in April at the bottom of the crypto, by the way. So you see there's no direct relationship, right? But I saw this bullish divergence going up, and here is when the conflict pretty much started. So by then, oil had already climbed 18%. No one fucking cared. Why? Because it wasn't trendy. Since then, even if you count to the week, it's the same kind of push. And even weaker because, oh, there's no conflict, oh, there's peace, whatever. So you might think, oof, we dodged a bullet, but what I see is just an overexcited, like an overextended daily push, bounce from oversold level with bullish divergence. And when you are in a downtrend, you have reliefs. The same way when you are in an uptrend, you have corrections. But this is necessary for positions to exit, new people to get trapped. The same way for bull markets, you need to go back to liquidity to fuel the next leg, right? So in this position, many people got rich for sure. People who had been getting ready for this, and this was the narrative for them to exit. I'm sure. This is always the same thing. What's the narrative? War? Okay, not war. It could be to 120, right? That's what... this is what big boys expected. An 85% rise, just because of a war. Apparently a war, yeah. Why? Perhaps because of the last conflict, which already was in a bear market, by the way, don't forget that. And this is what they expected. Oh, they reached peace? Never mind. But then you have the perfect exit narrative here. Remember, no narrative happens, no positive or bearish, no bearish narrative happen at the top, and vice versa, right? So we just wait now to see if BTC decides to finally, I'm gonna update this for a second. We now wait to see if in the daily, I'm gonna hide this. We have the cross now in the daily, some stop hesitation after a big run. The ceasefire has been active. I guess the market needs to digest this. Everything looks good. SPX breaking this bull flag. This is the all-time high area now. 2% kind of move. 2 all-time highs. Daily about to cross. Weekly healthily above the MA without any kind of divergence. Fighting this 6K area, which of course is an important also psychological one, because you know, round targets, it's been resistance before, temporary support, and resistance now. If we reclaim it, you know what comes next. Perhaps this, slowly test this as support, and off we go. Plenty of room in the weekly, and remember the reset we had in the monthly. We need to cross, by the way, to fully send, right? We shouldn't be rejected here. If we print all-time high, we surely cross it. And if we put the stochastic RSI, we just have a bullish cross at pretty much bear market levels. You can do with that what you want. Futures, by the way, are way higher. I think it's futures. Here it is. Look where future is. Pretty much all-time high. Crossing, even that would mean like a cross in the monthly. You can do with that what you want. This is just data, and you see this perfect with all the fear mongering. Pretty much a perfect retest of the previous cycle top. Kind of bear market level. Stock RSI support that kind of reset. And people say, we are going to enter bear market now. So much fear right into all-time high. The same with BTC, the same with altcoins. Every chart is surrounded by fear and worry and complete disbelief. Isn't that wonderful? This is the first time every cycle ends like this. I think we are going much higher. But that's based on sentiment. Let's see what data says first. But I think this could be surprising for all of us, for good. Until we have something more relevant, perhaps breaking all-time high and reassessing. I hope you take care and have some fun. Bye.